Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is December the 16th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Hopefully, you had a good Tuesday, if you will. For me, it was good. It was solid. I will say I went to work a little bit late again. I've been back on my bad sleep habits. I guess my bad sleep cycles. I woke up around, I want to say like 4 or 5 o'clock. No, I think it was like 4, and I just couldn't go back to sleep. I was like, "Yep, I already know. I know the song and dance." And I was chilling, watching some live streams in bed. I think I even wound up watching some YouTube. Like we ran out of road, but just hung out, then got up, got to work. Well, I will say I dawdled a little bit longer. And this is solely because it's just so cold. Like, I looked at the temperature and I saw, okay, it's going to be like 16 degrees, like, from 7 to 8. And then from 8 to 9, it's going to be like 20 degrees. That's 4 degrees difference. And I literally was like, that's enough for me. What does it matter? Like I'm gonna be fine. They're not gonna ding me. I don't know. I don't recall if I mentioned this or not, but for my review, like I had fretted and stressed so much about my attendance, and I was like, I keep coming in late. I keep like having this issue of being like late, like 6-10 minutes or so. It did not matter. I think I literally got a 5. So remembering that, I was just like, yeah, dude, it's not worth freezing my little tuchus off. Let's just wait. I'm tired. Like, let's just, gather our energy and let's get to work when we get to work. So that's what I did. And got in there, though, got after it. There really weren't any problems. I will say a bit of note. The composite trash compactor, whatever, has been acting up. I mentioned the other day that people thought it was frozen. Well, it wasn't frozen, but, I'm hoping the issue is that it's just too filled. And, hopefully they just change it out tomorrow and we're good to go. No problems, no worries. But there might be some, actual mechanical issue that we need to call Rumpke and they have to come fix because that's actually their trash compactor, like in total. But anyway, work was fine. There really wasn't any issues. Actually had some good talks with my coworkers, which I always like and appreciate. Like sometimes I find myself, it's weird. Like working, especially I feel like in a warehouse, like at least a warehouse like mine, there's so many types of people, so many ages, creeds, colors, all that shit. So to like find myself in a situation where I'm talking to someone who's like 55 years old and I'm like low key giving them life advice because it's like, hey man, you're trying to talk to your like biological daughter or whatever, who lives, over here, over yonder. And like, I get that story. I'm just saying I've lived it. So I understand, where she's coming from. I think I get where you're coming from. Let me try to like bridge the gap from you a little bit. Granted, I'm a guy, so that's that. I don't have any kids, whole other thing. But, we were really chopping it up, really yakking it down. But yeah, no, it was overall a really good day. Sans being cold. I literally had to like bust out the hot hands. Like if you ask like a lead or a supervisor, they will like give you a pack of hot hands. So I try to make those like last like at least 2 days, like split them up. But yeah, even that wasn't enough. Like I was just freezing, even with the 20 degrees up. It was warmer than yesterday. And I think, and not to play weatherman, I do think it's supposed to be warming up towards the end of the week in Ohio. So I'm knocking on wood, ready for that. I need it. I'm sick of this cold weather, yo. But yeah, post work, we got after it. We got to the gym. Gym was an interesting session. So I get in there and, I see that the free weights are already taken up, but I'm able to get on a Smith machine. I'm like, let's fucking go. We're here. And I'm like, knowing what I know, like seeing the lay of the land, I'm like, let me just get in an extra like half set on everything I'm doing here. And that'll kind of count, right? Like maybe we just cut our losses a little bit early. You know what I mean? My goal was to more or less make sure that I got in my hour of cardio and not negotiate on that. And, as long as I did that, I was going to be happy. So I get through the Smith machine movements. Then I hit my filler work, and I was like, all right, cool. Glad I got to catch up on that a little bit. Did some core work. I was like, awesome, loving this. Then we were able to double back and then do some free weights. And I was like, what? Let's go. Let's just get the whole thing in. And if I get my whole thing in before like 6 o'clock for my time schedule, that's perfect. And sure enough, I do. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like in this moment, I've done more work than I usually would. And I'm just getting like the same amount of time. And it's just like, it's weird sometimes how gym time works. Like, well, but hey, I'll take it today. I'll take it. So we get into our cardio. Cardio goes great, no problems. And then we get up and we get out of there. Now, this is where the detour happens. I remembered that I needed to get, how do you say, the podcasting fuel, at least part of the podcasting fuel for me, which happens to be bourbon. So I was like, yeah, let's go to Jungle Gyms, which is, I feel like a weird thing. If you know, real, grocery heads, locals, maybe you're not even a local, this is an international supermarket. It's a big deal, Loki. I don't know, I feel like, not to toot Ohio's horn here, but Jungle Gyms is dope. It's weird though, because I just live so close to it. So like, I just pop in and I just get random things. Like I don't like being in there, especially now because they've expanded on it. Luckily, I think like on a normal weekday, it's fine. On the weekend, it's terrible. On the weekend, it's like as busy as like a mall would be. It's annoying. Like there's just no need for this. But it is a cool like place to kind of like actually shop around for food. I don't know. It's nice for that. It's a nice vibe, aesthetic. And the food is obviously very cool, very nice, very good. But yeah, I was just there for some cheap bourbon. And while I was there, I was like, I'm going to nick a couple of groceries. Let me not say nick. I know that means, I think, technically a negative connotation. I'm going to acquire some groceries. I just picked up some random stuff. And then I was like, oh, well, I got to pass by the beer section. So let me just go ahead and look at some beer. And I was like trying to find like an IPA that I was just like, that was calling to me. And as I was looking, I saw that they had Truthadelic. And I remembered, it like hit me, like it unlocked a memory that I forgot to talk about on the podcast from this weekend. I went to a new bar, or a tap house, I think it's what you would call it, called Higher Gravity. And it's like a newer open up shop. I think they may have been there for around a year now. I don't really frequent it. We kind of have, like I said, we have our 3 spots that we go to. And in the haze of the night, I had just forgotten that we had went there. For me, it was the first time. And when I went there, it was so, like, not surreal, but, like, it was just weirdly nice. And I know I'm saying this, and I'm about to give a description that maybe doesn't sound nice. But let me do my best here. So I went in, and it was just like, oh, this is like a cookie cutter, like, suburban bar. But it's, like, in the city. Oh, that's nice. Like, and for me, it is nice because I kind of feel very cozy in a place where I could just go and drink, like, IPAs that I like. Like, to me, that's very cool. That's very nice. Most of the bars we go to, maybe they have, like, just a normal default Truth or something like that. Actually, I will give Chameleon credit, because I've definitely taught. I got the Watermelon Girlfriend. that was a summer hit. I miss you. It's just nice to go to a spot like this and just, like, get some high, IPA or, hazy IPA, whatever, you know what I mean? High alcohol, whatever. For my friend, he was looking to get the stout that he really liked. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm down. This is like the best opportunity. That bonus just hit, baby. I can spend a little bit of extra money on some beer. And I got a teak, which was nice. I've had it before, but I was just like, okay, that's a good staple for me. Awesome. Let me guzzle that down. And while we were chilling, my homie, he wanted to try the Truthadelic. And I was like, okay, if you get that, let me have a sip. And I tried it. And both of us were like, ooh, yeah, we like this. And I think my friend, he was a little bit begrudgingly on it because he's just not the biggest fan. Like, he likes Rheingeist beer, but, he worked there, so it's just like, Truth is kind of just very basic vanilla. So this was like, okay, is this going to be like just a plus version that's maybe okay or not okay? But we both enjoyed it. So I liked it a lot. And only just had that sip. So I was like, oh, now I have the opportunity to buy it. Let's fucking go. So I bought it. I know that story just kind of came out of nowhere, but I figured, hey, why not? Let's just tell it. So yeah, that was an unlocked story from the weekend that I forgot to tell. There we go. Let's see here. Was there anything else that I wanted to say about my day? No, we came home after that, and we had our little nut cup. We did our little research, and now we are as ready as we will ever be to yap about some news. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into it. Ay, 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 ay. Excuse me. Oh, and I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to describe like the Truthadelic for some reason, other than it's just like it's a better version of just the default truth like flavor. But I also like the hazy truth one. I've liked them in every version, so maybe I might not be the best person to ask. That's why I kind of liked hearing my friend's reaction, because overall he's like he can kind of take it or leave it. And so for him to be like, no, that gets a thumbs up out of me. So, there you go. That's 2 thumbs up. We're like the Eper and Roper, Opper and Eper, whatever the fuck their name is. Anyway, all right, let me get into it. Let me stop yucking around. From NPR, U.S. military says strikes on 3 boats in Eastern Pacific Ocean kill 8 people. The U.S. military said Monday that it attacked 3 boats accused of smuggling drugs in the Eastern Pacific Ocean, killing a total of 8 people as scrutiny over the boat strikes is intensifying in Congress. The military said in a statement on social media that the strikes targeted designated terrorist organizations, killing 3 people in the first vessel, 2 in the second boat, and 3 in the third boat. It didn't provide evidence of their alleged drug trafficking, but posted a video of a boat moving through water before exploding. I'm just going to fast forward to the grand total that we are at currently. 95 people and 25 known strikes since early September, including a follow-up strike that killed 2 survivors clinging to wreckage of a boat after the first hit. So that is where we are at on Boat Watch. I'm just going to keep it short and concise, and we will move on. We got a couple more stories in the Trump verse to discuss. From the Associated Press, Trump expands travel ban and restrictions to include an additional 20 countries. The Trump administration announced Tuesday it was expanding travel restrictions to an additional 20 countries and the Palestinian Authority, doubling the number of nations affected by sweeping limits announced earlier this year on who can travel and immigrate to the U.S. The Trump administration included 5 more countries as well as people traveling on documents issued by the Palestinian Authority to the list of countries facing a full ban on travel to the U.S. and imposed new limits on 15 other countries. Now, we've already discussed the first wave of banned countries, so I'm not going to read them again, but I will go to the update, the patch notes. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, South Sudan, and Syria. The administration also fully restricted travel on people with Palestinian Authority issued travel documents, the latest U.S. travel restriction against Palestinians. South Sudan is also facing significant travel restrictions already. An additional 15 countries are also being added to the list of countries facing partial restrictions: Angola, Antigua, Barbuda, Benin, Ivory Coast, Dominica, Gabon, Gambia, Malawi, Mauritania, I think I'm getting that right, Nigeria, Senegal, Tanzania, Tonga, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. So yeah, no surprise. A lot of countries with a lot of brown people, and they're like, why don't you guys just stop coming over here? Why don't you guys just know? We just had that thing, like an Afghan guy. They just killed people. That was crazy. Scary. Why don't we just no more? And what's sad is, we're only going to see countries, I feel like, just mimic this kind of behavior where we just kind of like try to be as isolationist as possible, but then still get our goods and shit. Yeah, I love that. I love that for us. I love it here. So yeah, I mean, this is obviously unfortunate. I think you guys know my thoughts on the matter. I don't think this is the right call. I don't think this is the right reaction. It's just not surprising. It is something that Trump has done in the first term. It is something he's continuing to do now and only, expanding upon. So, yeah, there's that. But like I said, I'm trying to keep this shit short and sweet. So we're going to move on to the last bit of Trump news that I had from the Associated Press yet again. Trump sues BBC for $10 billion, accusing it of defamation over editing of President's January 6th speech. So we talked about this previously in an earlier episode. We didn't have a number that Trump was going to shoot for, and it looks like we got it at a whopping $10 billion in damages. From the BBC, accusing the British broadcaster of defamation as well as deceptive and unfair trade practices. The 33-page lawsuit accuses the BBC of broadcasting false, defamatory, deceptive, disparaging, inflammatory, and malicious deception of President Trump, calling it a brazen attempt to interfere in and influence the 2024 U.S. presidential election. It's like, brother, this was broadcasted on the BBC, like in the fucking UK. There was maybe one state that you could have maybe watched it, like, or you were watching it like from a VPN or something. And essentially, I'm just going to yada this shit. But the lawsuit filed in Florida court seeks $5 billion in damages for defamation and $5 billion for unfair trade practices. Also, it's worth noting, too, that Florida was the only place that they could file it where you still had a chance to file it, being that, it's the UK, there's already a statute of limitation, or like, it's expired, it's gone beyond that, and even in the States. So it's like, it's hard as fuck to try to get this to really pop off. And he's like, no, we can still make it happen here. So he's going to make it happen there. For the BBC's angle, they're like, look, we're sorry that we took these 3 moments and we spliced them together like this and this little sound bite. We didn't mean to do you dirty, but we're also not paying you anymore. Also, it's worth noting too. Let's see. I looked this up, and this is from an AI overview. The BBC generates billions annually. Primarily from the UK TV license fee, around $3.8 billion, and that's from 2024 to 2025, and its commercial arm, BBC Studios, which hit record revenues of approximately $2.2 billion, same years, totaling overall income well over £5 billion. Sorry, if I was saying dollars, I meant pounds, which is more, by the way. With profits from BBC Studios funding public service broadcasting. But essentially, he wants to run the jewels here for $10 billion. So I fucking love that. Or I guess it's $10 billion, which I guess is maybe less now that I'm saying it out loud, right? Yeah, he's saying he wants the USD, baby. But still, they're going to take this shit to court. I'm not rooting for either side on this shit. I guess I will say I would like to see Trump lose more than I would like the BBC to lose, but I would love for a situation, which I kind of think is going to happen anyway, I guess I don't love it, but like the BBC's probably going to settle. They're probably going to come and to sit down with him and say, like, how do we kiss the ring like the other fucking broadcasters do in America? Do we spread the cheeks? What do we do? What do you want? We'll do it. Just not 10 billion. You're being crazy. Do you want Barry Weiss to like come to the UK? Like, what do you want? Anyway, enough jibber jabber about that shit. I'll keep you posted on any more updates down the pipe, how that lawsuit's gonna go. Let me take a water break. We're gonna go to NPR. We're gonna talk fucking football. Not just football, Michigan high school football. We're talking fucking go Wolverines. Sort of. Okay. Also, that's crazy for me to say, being in Ohio. If you know, you know. Go Buckeyes, whatever. But yeah, I was talking to a coworker, and my coworker knows that I'm about this new shit, so he knows that I'm down to talk about it, any of it, all of it. Give it to me. And he goes, bro, did you hear about this Michigan coach situation? And I was like, I think I like read a headline or two. No, like I know he got like fired. He was like, oh, he retired. Like, it was some like fuzzy thing on the fringes of my timeline feeds, and I just was like, yeah, sports news, whatever. And he proceeds to lay out the story. And I go, oh my God. Because he knows that this is the kind of thing that I would love to yap about. I would love to know about. So I was like, my G, thank you. I appreciate you. So yeah, this is a good tip. And I always like to shout out the homies, whether they are listening or not. Please give me news. I will cover it. Like, yes, it might be a little bit of like offbeat, like whatever, but y'all know I love covering a sports story that when you get into it has nothing to do with fucking sports. That's my jam. Not my favorite, but it's definitely a part of my wheelhouse. Anyway, fired Michigan football coach charged with home invasion and stalking. Fired University of Michigan football coach Sharon Moore barged his way into the apartment of a woman with whom he had been having an affair, and threatened to kill himself after she reported the relationship to the school, and he lost his job, prosecutors said Friday. Moore was charged with 3 crimes, including felony home invasion and stalking. As he watched by video from jail, authorities laid out extraordinary allegations against Moore and provided details that answered a key question. What led Michigan to suddenly oust the 39-year-old coach Wednesday after his second season at the helm of the Story football program? Moore and the woman had been having an affair for a number of years before she ended the relationship Monday, said Katie, I'm going to fuck this last name up, Rezmerinsky. Sure. Washtenaw County first assistant prosecutor. That's a mouthful. Moore reportedly called the woman and texted her, but she refused to respond, the prosecutor said. Eventually, she presented herself to the University of Michigan, cooperated in some form of an investigation. As we all now know, Moore was fired from his employment, the prosecutor said. Moore was dismissed for an inappropriate relationship with a staff member, the school said Wednesday, without offering details. Shortly after losing his job, Moore stormed into the woman's apartment, then proceeded to a kitchen drawer, grabbed several butter knives and a pair of kitchen scissors, and began to threaten his own life, Rezmerinsky said. The prosecutor quoted Moore as telling the woman, "I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to make you watch. My blood is on your hands. You've ruined my life." Dude, I hate when a motherfucker gets all this evil, like, you ruined me. I can't believe you told me. Why did you do it? Brother, you're not the victim here. Like, you're being crazy. You're being unreasonable. You have a whole wife and family at home. Brother, yeah, you're cooked on this one. You burned it, bro. You made history here with the fucking Wolverines, and you were already coming out of some scandal shit that we'll close out with as we continue through this fucking article. But it's like, brother, you were not the victim on this shit. You spooked this person into this situation is what it sounds like to me, from what I'm reading, what I'm gathering. So it's like, no, dude, I don't feel bad for this man. It's crazy that he decided to now make it a fucking thing that he can be thrown in jail for. Like, brother, you're making it so much worse. But I guess he felt compelled. She was terrorized, Rezmerinsky said. A not guilty plea was entered on Moore's behalf by District Court Magistrate Odatala, and he was released from jail after meeting the $25,000 bond. Moore said very little in court besides acknowledging that he must have no contact with the woman, among other conditions. The court hearing was held just 4 miles from Michigan Stadium, where Moore, who is married with 3 children, coached his last game against rival Ohio State in front of more than 100,000 fans on November 29th. Defense attorney Joe Simon said Moore was taken to a hospital for a mental health evaluation after his arrest Wednesday and then returned to jail. He said Moore would absolutely comply with the judge's order for an additional evaluation. Moore must wear a GPS tracking device, stay in Michigan, and abstain from alcohol. The next court hearing was set for January 22nd. There's no evidence to suggest he's a threat, Simon said. Moore signed a 5-year contract with a base annual salary of $5.5 million last year. According to the terms of his deal, the university will not have to buy out the remaining years of his contract because he was fired for cause. Moore, the team's former offensive coordinator, was promoted to lead the Wolverines after they won the national title. He succeeded Jim Harbaugh, who returned to the NFL to lead the Los Angeles Chargers. Michigan is set to play number 14 Texas on December 31st in the Citrus Bowl. Biff, what a fucking cool name. Biff Poggi? I hope I'm getting that right, dude. Respect on that man's name. I know he's technically the rival, he's the op, but like, cool name. Who filled in for Moore when he was suspended earlier this season in relation to a Harbaugh era sign stealing scandal, will serve as interim coach. Now, I can't recall if I covered the sign stealing situation where it was a whole thing where they were literally stealing play calls from another fucking team, and, you know, they had to face the fucking music on that whole thing. It was a whole fucking row, a kerfuffle. And I can't recall if that was just something I kind of took in. It was like, whoa, crazy sports shit. But I feel like, once again, y'all know I love an offbeat, crazy story, especially with major ramifications. So I might have covered that back, I believe, in 2023. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. When the school seeks a new head coach, the Wolverines may lose players in the transfer portal this winter, and donors who help fund revenue sharing and NIL deals may hesitate to invest in the winningest program in college football history. Okay, yeah, whatever. I'm not rooting for the fucking Wolverines anyway, so we can move on. But interesting fucking story. I'll keep you posted on maybe the continued fallout of this, you know, all that, the fate of Moore. But yeah, please give me more stories like this, whether they're football, whether they're, I don't know, fishing, rock skipping. I don't fucking care. If it's news, I want it. I want to talk about it in front of a microphone. Anyway, let's move on. I got an update on, the Matthew Perry, situation. Anyway, once again, from the Associated Press, really delivering for me today. Doctor who helped sell ketamine to actor Matthew Perry before his overdose death avoids prison time. Excuse me. A doctor who pleaded guilty in a scheme to supply ketamine to actor Matthew Perry before his overdose death was sentenced Tuesday to 8 months of home confinement. Judge Sherilyn Peace Garnett handed down the sentence that included 3 years of supervised release to 55-year-old Dr. Mark Chavez in a federal courtroom in Los Angeles. Before the sentence was delivered, Chavez addressed the judge and said he had lost a loved one recently and understood the grief that Perry's death had caused. I just want to say my heart goes out to the Perry family. He said, I feel like that's whack sauce. I feel like that's whack playlist. Like, cool, I'm sorry for your loss, but like, how does that correlate? Like, you're involved in a thing that like technically led to a guy dying. So like, is that what happened to your loved one? God, I hope not. Because like, why are you mentioning this? I think I can relate. Like, shut up. Say less. But I know we had talked about Dr. Salvador Palacina. He was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison earlier this month. That does leave, I believe, Jasmine. I forget her fucking name, but it was Ketamine Queen. She's going to be sentenced in February. Jasveen Sangha. There we go. Yeah, it'll be February 25th, 2026. So in the new year, we will probably finally get the closing of this chapter. But yeah, we have one more thing that I wanted to cover, and it's another fucking Waymo. Get back in the Waymo. Anyway, let's fucking take our last break, and then we will zip on out of here. No driver. I think this is our third Waymo story, but technically our fourth that I've covered incident, like, in just recent time. So this is not making me confident. I don't feel very confident in the future of, this whole driverless tech thing. Not that I really did for a while. I think, you know what's sad? Pre-Elon Musk, like, fucking yapping his ass off about this shit, I actually was like, oh yeah, that'll definitely be something that happens in my lifetime and it will be cool. Like, didn't know exactly when, but I figured, yeah, sure, and it will be cool. Well, it's happened sooner than I fucking expected. Okay, color me surprised on that, but it sucks. It's so bad. It's bad and like kind of scary sometimes. Anyway, I mean, that being said, I know that maybe on the aggregate, on the whole, it's fine. We're covering kind of outlying stories here, but like, come on, man, get it together, Waymo. And then I have no hope for whatever the fuck Tesla's gonna come up with down the pipe, because like you can already tell from like the layout that's been described to me, they're doing it for less and not in a good way. I'll say that. Anyway. Oh, fruit salad, yummy, yummy. All right, from ABC7 Eyewitness News. Woman finds stranger in Waymo trunk during ride in LA. This is weird. A This is a video that's gotten thousands of views on social media. Shows the moment a woman discovered a stranger in the back of a Waymo car. The incident happened on Monday at MacArthur Park in Los Angeles. A woman said she ordered the driverless ride for her daughter, and when it arrived, they noticed a man in the trunk. Why the expletive are you in the trunk? The woman is heard asking the stranger. I'm trying to figure this out, the man responds. This expletive won't let me out. Apparently, the man had entered the Waymo after a previous rider left the trunk open at the drop-off. What? Like, something feels so suspicious, or maybe I'm just built a certain kind of way. Because I'm sorry. If I see a car, no way, it came up to me, there's no one in here. It's driverless. I get it. I'm in LA. Crazy things are happening here. I'm not going to press X to inspect. For one, I am walking away. I'm going to go to Irwan and spend way too much on whatever the fuck is inside there. I don't know, never been. But like, I'm not gonna go in there or go into the Waymo and be like, what's going on here? Like, start sniffing around. I'm damn sure not gonna get my ass in the trunk. Like, what is this? This feels like some fucked up dumb movie, or like, dare I say, a hub thing. And that's where I go, oh, is that like, what is that? And I don't wanna assume. My assumption hat, I'm throwing it in the corner. Like, no. But like, what the fuck? Am I wrong for like being, this is so off? This is so weird. Anyway. Let's just finish it. Eyewitness News reached out to Waymo, and a spokesperson issued the following statement. We're committed to keeping our riders safe and earning the trust of the communities where we operate. This experience was unacceptable, and we are actively implementing changes to address this. Like, yeah, close the trunks or allow the trunks to be unlockable. I don't know. Like, how does this happen? Why was he in the trunk? I just this is giving me so many questions. All of the other ones were like easy, like cut, paste, move on, whatever. Like, hopefully you just do the patch notes, fix that thing. Why was this man in the trunk? Waymo, tell me. And I know they don't have the answers. Only that man knows. Only he can really tell us his truth. But it remains to be seen or heard. Because anyway, I want to know. That's it, though. That's all I got. That's the episode. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcast. Wherever you like to listen. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. 5 stars are always appreciated, either on Spotify or Apple Podcast. But if you don't do any of that, that's A-okay. You're good in my book. I appreciate you listening, especially if you made it all the way here. You're a dumpling. You're a dove. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.